Welcome to K9 Boxing. And I got a special guest, my Brody, that's right, my Christian brother, world champion, remind me so much of myself. I'm a Christian brother. And he's from Michigan, and I'm from Michigan. He's a champion, I'm a champion. Welcome to the show, Kid Chocolate. Peter
And
Quillin.
thank you for having me on, my brother.
Man,
I
yes.
appreciate.
Yes, man. Listen, I see you got all these books back there, man. You've been doing a lot of reading since we've been in this COVID time.
Yes, I've been learning about a lot about history, learning a lot about the God that I believe in.
Hmm.
Just trying to use everything that I got, trying to gain knowledge.
Okay, okay, because knowledge is power, right?
And knowledge is definitely power. And if you don't got knowledge, then you can be considered ignorant.
Yes,
And people perish because they can perish because of a lack of knowledge.
absolutely. So, like, when I wanted you to come on the show, you know what I mean, you connected back with me and we talked and you tricked me. You know what I'm saying? I forgot you speak Spanish. I mean, what kind of language you speak? Spanish? I mean, what's your nationality and all that? You're not just black. You what?
My dad is from Cuba, born and raised in Cuba, and my grandfather is actually born and raised in Spain. So like,
Wow.
my dad is. I'm basically considered a Cuban. I consider myself an Afro-Cuban American,
Hmm.
basically a black Cuban that's living in America. So,
Wow.
but my born and raised in Cuba though. So yo hablo un poco español. Mi español no bueno, pero entonces yo sabe es mucho importante. Yo hablo español porque mucha gente vive para allá y dice yo soy latino, yo soy cubano, yo soy dominicano, no hablo español. Yo pienso ese es un problema. So, you know.
Hey, listen, whatever you said, I know you're a Christian, so it's all good. For real. Hey, man, we got a bunch of new subscribers too, so they're going to be able to understand exactly what you said because a lot of my new subscribers are from Mexico. They was
That's the
tapping in.
biggest boxing fan.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now they tapped in last night, and when you told me you probably weren't gonna watch the fight, I was like, oh man, what better person to get it from the boxing breakdown and then a world champion. So you didn't see the Canelo fight then last night.
Went back and seen the highlights, and he basically create great highlights,
Yeah.
his boxing style and everything. So I think he's one of the best fighters of our era right now.
Okay. Okay. Do you think that he's the best pound for pound fighter in the world right now?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
You know, what he did was he basically beat all the boogeymen in the sport. Kovalov, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They heading probably to a trilogy.
Hmm.
So by far he the one that just he got the big X on his back, and I can see why.
So listen, you haven't fought maybe what? And how long has it been since you fought?
I fought Anguilla. Since I lost to Anguilla, I haven't fought.
Okay. Okay. But you haven't retired, right?
Well, we never know what it could be. Then I might not be able to survive the pandemic right now. So I'm
Yeah.
just taking it at a time. I want to tomorrow actually going to like 21 day routine schedule. Mean I'm gonna start to build something with me and my wife. Start doing some working out. Try to make it some limited, making it more fun, and see if it's a program I can create during the pandemic right now.
And the reason why I'm asking you that is because Canelo has moved up from, I believe, actually welterweight all the way up to light heavyweight. And his last fight he had last night, it was super middleweight. Do you think that Canelo is that good, or just the fighters are not that good for him to be able to move up like that? I couldn't see him a couple years ago stepping up and weight and fighting against you at super middleweight, at middleweight.
Let's look at it like this. When Oscar De La Hoya went pro, what did he go pro as?
Was it junior middleweight?
125 pounds.
Oh, he showed it. He showed it.
Mayweather
You right.
came in the game at 125 pounds. And what he basically did for his whole career was chasing the fight with Mayweather. I
Yes.
mean, chasing the fight with Oscar De La Hoya and finally got it. And when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, that's when he became a superstar.
Yes, that's true. But Oscar De La Hoya had the frame to be able to go up in weight. He's not 5'7", 5'8". They saying Canelo 5'9", but I don't think he 5'9". Canelo doesn't really have the height to be able to go up in weight like that. And to me, he really don't have the size to me. I think more or less that he just picking the right fights to be able to go up in weight. I definitely couldn't see him, like I say, if you was currently boxing, all the time, active, if you wasn't so busy, I just couldn't see him going up in weight fighting against you. I couldn't see him going up in weight and fighting against Daniel Jacobs a couple of years ago. I couldn't see him fighting certain guys. You see,
But
you
he
want,
fought.
yeah,
And now he fought these guys, and now,
yeah,
for me, like I said, Pacquiao went pro. I think at 112, 119 pounds,
hmm, yeah,
and
yeah,
up and fought Antonio Margarito at 154 pounds.
yeah, yeah,
So what I would just say is like, these type of stories that they create,
yeah,
you know, we sometimes just got to sit back and see how it pans out and how
yeah,
it works out. And that's
yeah,
what makes boxes because of the boxing sport, anything can happen. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, I think honestly, for me to be put myself in a talks like that, I had to
yeah,
put myself in a situation like that. I haven't did that. I came up short in my last fight, and I
yeah,
think, I could have won that fight, but I've been having a lot of problems with my weight
yeah,
itself. So maybe I
yeah,
should have to 100 and 70, light heavyweight.
yeah, yeah. No, no, I'm not taking nothing from Canelo because I take my head out to Canelo. I mean, I love to see the little man go up and do good. That's what got me started in boxing. Mike Tyson, a little guy at 5'11" and beating up guys 6'2", 6'3", 6'5". So I love the little man when the little man beat up the big man. David versus Goliath. I love those type of stories and those kind of fighters. So no, I'm definitely not going against Canelo. I just me as much hard as I got, I just couldn't see me moving up and weight and fighting that light heavyweight. And I'm a strong guy, but I just know like I'm staying in my lane.
Yeah, I understand. So I
Yeah,
guess to each his own. Everybody gonna have a different kind of
absolutely.
story. Look at your story. You came
Yeah,
in again raw talent and what you've done in the sport. And it's like that's that you created history for your family name. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's more important than anything.
yes, yes, that's true. That's true. And like I said about us both having a lot in common, you didn't have a big amateur career. How many amateur fights you had?
About like 15 amateur fights.
15? Wow, I thought you only had 7. You only had 15? I had 10, so you had more than me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but what happened is like as a guy coming from Grand Rapids and coming from where I come from, it was hard to actually see something good happening to my life, and boxing provided that. But I was still in the streets. I was like living in a certain lifestyle. Wasn't really thinking about boxing like how a real dedicated fighter think about the sport. I wasn't thinking like that. I was just looking like, man, if it happens, it happens, and if it don't, it don't. That's how the kind of mentality I had towards the sport at that time. But I'm glad that I actually seen that I could, you know, make a way of living in the sport at sooner or later in my life, and took a chance moving to New York when I was 18.
When did you actually start boxing, and when did you know you want to be a boxer?
Well, a older fighter named Rodney Joby in my hometown. Well, my brother, of course, was a boxing fan. You know what I
Okay,
mean? And always like put me in the gloves with different kids in the neighborhood, but never like no boxing training from a boxing coach.
okay,
But then a guy that was actually boxing ended up going pro. His name was Rodney Joby.
okay,
Rob was like working for a community center where I used to go play basketball, and then he heard about me fighting all the time. He was like, "Yo, instead of fighting, man, you need to be taking these gloves and take it out in the gloves with people, man. That's how we need to do. We need to bring it back to like being able to fight fights like that instead of going to gunplay." And he gave us these boxing gloves, and they used to take me all to different neighborhoods, and I used to box the best and people in their neighborhood, and until I walked into a boxing gym called MGGA, Michigan Gloves Association, with Dave Packer, and me walking in those doors changed the way I changed my outlook of life. So I was like 15 years old, about to turn 16. I took my first fight right before I turned 16. I actually was traveling up there on my birthday, so I was 16, and I took a fight in Olathe, Kansas. I know Olathe, Canada.
okay, okay. Where did the name Kid Chocolate come from?
I was working out in gyms around in Michigan, and somebody was like, you look like this fighter that was from Cuba named Kid Chocolate. I said, man, that's crazy. My dad from Cuba, and they didn't believe me. A lot of people didn't believe that I was Cuban, but yeah, I can't fake that I'm somebody I'm not. My dad is born and raised in Cuba, and I thought moving to New York, I was opening up a boxing encyclopedia, and I turned to the book, I turned to the page, and it was right on Kid Chocolate. And at that time, I felt like I had a revelation. This is who you are. You the second coming. And basically, I just took on that name as like I need to shine this light. I need to shine a lot of success on this name, being that it's a great legacy and it's a great story for boxing, especially me being a Cuban American. So being a Cuban American means so much to me in my stories. Like, when a family come, like my dad is a political refugee. He came in here as like not an illegal immigrant, but like an immigrant, and got a status here. And being somebody from a communist country and then moving here and seeing an opportunity, he didn't get to see the opportunity until I became the world champion.
That's good. Great story. A lot of fighters have these gimmicks, like me myself, I bark because I'm K9, roof, 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 right? You get Bronner, he dad brush my hair. You come in, you throw chocolate to the people, to the fans. Where you get that from?
Came off a joke with my friends, and before I turned for my first pro fight, and somebody like, man, you should throw chocolate out there, and I was
Yeah,
like, do that. I was taking that like I was gonna do that because I thought people would laugh from it. I'm a jokester, and I thought that even if they didn't remember my name, they would remember me doing the guy that threw the chocolate out. So I thought it was a good gimmick for people to remember, something to leave a lasting impression on somebody, and it actually went to the next level.
one of your greatest fights, I saw you actually be a part of. I mean, you were in a lot of great fights, but was the fight with you and Andy Lee. Can you take me through what you were thinking? Y'all were both, banging hard. I mean, that was a great fight. Was that the greatest fight that you actually had that you can remember that you want to talk about? I mean, what's one of your toughest fights or your best fights, best moments in boxing?
My best moments, of course, winning the title with Hassan Nadam. What I had to been to go through, and Winky Wright. I like the performance, even though he was an older boxer and everything. I like the performance that I put in my confidence in that fight, and when I fought Andy Lee, we was that was talked about a long time ago when Emmanuel Stewart was alive, and me and him had to talk about that. And he said he wouldn't have let that happen, but since then, Andy Lee, I always respect him because especially moving from where he was from as a gypsy and moving to Detroit, Michigan, and training under that tutelage over there. I respect him a lot, and I was watching the fight when he fought Brian Vera. I think when he took a loss to Brian Vera, and I don't know because me and him, we was in that spark where his name was there, my name was there, Danny Jacobs' name was there, a lot of different fighters' names was there, and I know it was sometime it was going to be happen. Maybe we was going to be able to touch the gloves with each other, and you know, for me to touch the gloves with him, he dropped me in that first. That was the first time I ever been dropped in my professional career, and when he dropped me, I was like, I knew I was on the floor. I was like, man, now I was thinking to myself, now he gonna think he about to get me out of here. Now he gonna come at me. So I was thinking what I was gonna do, and I was like, okay, just make sure you hit in between the punches, hit them hard, and let them know you're not playing and you good. And that's what I did. But like, it was a good experience to have a fight with a great fighter like him, and being able to have that on him underneath my record, and I was thankful. But other than that, those experiences, I'm gonna be able to die with those, and I'll be happy with those moments.
Yeah, and the way that we are in this world, like a lot of these young people nowadays really don't know how to handle success. How are you able to handle success? I'm talking about some being a world champion, but at the same time being humble. Because I know when I first met you, you were the main event, and you wasn't acting arrogant, none of that. We talking about the champion of the world. You the main event was cool as I don't know what. Did that come from your faith in Christ, being a Christian, or were you just brought up like that?
Well, it was like, I guess what I would tell you is like with everything in life, you got to find a balance.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was trying to balance out the good person that I knew I was and I'm capable of doing. But at the same time, I grew up in the streets. It's hard not to let the streets peep want to come out. But I knew that's not the way I wanted to be, and I didn't want to project myself to be in such a everybody a street dude on that level, and they want to be, reflect the street guy. And I'm like, the street guys never last. The street guys I know, they in prison, they dead. So for me, it's like, who am I to really be acting like something like I don't have an opportunity to change my life? So I guess it was that balance of, and then at the same, later on in my career, it started to feel like it was like my soul. There was something was trying to battle for my soul. One spirit was trying to get my soul, and I was always finding myself in these situations where I was like compromising my beliefs in certain things, and I just got tired of doing that, and I just like, I guess what you're gonna have to do is, you know, I gave my whole life to Christ at a certain time in my life when I wasn't, I didn't, I didn't want to say that I didn't know what I was doing, but I've been through so much stuff this boxing game. Um, it would be hard for me to sit here and tell you that. I hear people always talk about success, and they want success so bad they'll do this and do that, but like, people are willing to compromise their soul, and that's something I'm not willing to do. So I guess listening to that content, listening to whatever that voice was in my ear, eventually I had to figure out what voice that was speaking to me.
Yeah, I like what I be seeing when I be on your Instagram. I be seeing you with your kids, and you be having your kids, reading stories, and you ask them about God, and they'll say, they'll give you the right answer about God, and I was like, man, that's cold right there. You ain't got
But
parents like that nowadays.
no, because you don't understand, man. Being black from where I come from, when you even though I'm black and Latino, you know what I'm saying? I'm still black. I live around, you know what I'm saying? And I think majority of my friends I grew up with never was raised with their dad. So I had a dad. I know who my dad was, even though he was in prison. So I know a lot of that took a lot out of me. But altogether, I basically had this vision when I was younger of what I wanted to do with my family and my kids. I wanted to be married. I wanted to be faithful. I wanted to make sure I was like giving my kids all the love that it was possible, because I didn't receive those things growing up. And I think, if you ever come from like a broken situation like I came from, I think the best thing you can do is like learn from that broken past and make a better future.
How they say, when you get up there, never forget where you came from. Well,
Yeah.
you definitely didn't forget where you came from. Then you hire one of your homeboys or your brother, your Brody, your best friend as your manager, and y'all still doing business today.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, my best friend Antoine Gooch, he
Yeah,
basically, you know, he had to step in a big way. He went from being my friend, being straight from the street,
yeah.
big drug where I'm from. And I seen the way he always handled his money when he was like even a young kid. And I admire that. I actually put me on one time and I messed up the money. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And
yeah,
money, listen, I owed him money, and basically I paid him back his money when I got some money. And I
yeah.
think that our relationship solid. So one day when I started getting this money, he was like, "What you want to do?" And I told him, "I want to own a piece of this place." So he went out there and got all the credentials he needed to start buying properties in Grand Rapids, and we bought a lot of property at the right time, and it was worth a lot of money. And he went out there and learned on my money, on my dime, and end up getting a builder's license. So now he can build a career from the ground up and organize the people. So I think when I had to buy my manager out, he was the one that I feel like I can trust, and I seen the way he doubled money and how he negotiated. He was willing to make stances. So I thought it was only right that I would make him that and put him in a situation where he was able to watch over me and be that watchful eye. And I'm just thankful I made these decisions that I had to do that I can live with myself.
Wow. So he has businesses. Is he from Grand Rapids? Cause he got businesses in Grand Rapids. Do you
Rapids,
have
Michigan.
he? Oh yeah. So you from Grand Rapids, Michigan too? Do you have
Yeah.
any real estate? Any real estate in Grand Rapids too?
Yes. So we got a building, a
Wow.
store with 3 apartments on. I own it in cash. I bought my mom a crib in cash. I bought a couple cribs. We selling the crib right now, and I got a big story about that. But like what I said to myself, I want to buy these cribs, and because I grew up a lot of times coming home from school, they're like, man, who moving out your crib, Pete? No, we wasn't moving out the crib. They was putting us out, and on and on. I was like, grew up with this kind of story growing up, getting put out the house, and I just said I wanted to be not a slumlord, and I wanted to make sure I care about the people that I let stay in these properties, give their people's opportunity to live in the place and be a good landlord. But I learned that's not what the case was. I guess what I learned is that people just got, if you can own a crib, and if they don't own a crib, they don't feel like they got to take care of it. So it made me realize a lot of stuff. So now I'm just more focused on the development side. Now I got my partner. He cannot no longer work for me. He's a partner now because the information and the knowledge he got is only right for me to partner up with him. And that's what we doing. We selling them. I bought land. Bought the land for like $3,000. My land is now worth 30,000. I got an opportunity to get a house built that he's partnered up with the modular home. They'll build a crib and they'll pay for my land and split their profit with me. So, these kind of business still that we do, I would have never thought these was possible. But I just started a trucking business here in New Jersey with another friend. So I learned that the thing you want to do, you don't really want employees working for you. You really want to have people come in as partners. And if you have partners, you give people motivation that they can own something. They go all in. And I had to learn losing a lot of money that sometimes people would just have employee mind states, or broke people got the best ideas, but they're not willing to work with when they're not willing to work behind their broken ideas, then it's going to definitely fail.
Wow, man, listen, that's real good to hear because a lot of our peoples, our champions, our fighters, at the end of their career, they punch drunk, unfortunately, or they broke. So I mean, you definitely need to write a book, or maybe you can help me come up with a union to help these fighters to spend their money wisely. I know.
But
Yeah, go
and
ahead.
I,
Hmm?
what I think is the problem with that, man. So, like, when you're a boxer and you're on the top of your list and you're the top of the bucket, everybody's like feeding you. They feeding you all the nonsense. It's hard to even listen to somebody and trust what they saying. Like if you would, like if I said let's partner up and let's try to help people, because I got all the people right now that to teach you that I got life insurance on me. I have a lot of money invested into corporate real estate, a retirement plan for me in boxing. These are the things I thought about myself, and I was like, man, and not a lot of people. I was always fearful of like retiring broke and not having nothing. So, and then another situation I would tell you is like sometimes, and not everybody's situation is gonna be like this, but like my wife that I married, I married a woman that had her own thing. Not to say everybody's gonna come up in this situation, but a lot of people, they do it for the looks. I did it for more for, I seen a good mother in this lady, and I just end up tying the knot with her when people thought I didn't even know her like that. I was just like tired of like messing around the way I was messing around. But my wife got working on a career job for more than 15 years as a TV producer and worked for the same show for 15 years. She's the first person I could say I have in my life that I know that worked in the same job that they actually love for more than 15 years. So, it's like decisions that I made in my career. I think, it's hard to tell fighters who's getting all the praise. Champ, don't worry about that. Worry about boxing. They tell you all the same thing. Don't worry about this. And then when you retire, bro, those people that tell you don't worry about boxing, they go get other boxers, and now you punching. You don't know what to do with your life. You ready to commit suicide. A lot of people on drugs. So I just wanted to make sure I was making the decisions that I can live with.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good, man. I want to ask you about your wife. Like, how is it as a wife? Like, for instance, my wife, she's been there with me during my whole career. I mean, what's the balance? When you got a fight coming up. At the time, you were fighting all the time. You were world champ. I mean, was that kind of hard? Did you have to go to training camp? When you had a fight coming up because you wanted to make sure you did the right thing. I mean, how did you balance that out? You and her. Did she hold you down, or was it hard? Super hard.
Uh, it's easy. I mean, it started getting harder when I had more than one kid, and I noticed that it would cost a lot of money for me to, step away and go train and, leave my family behind, and being around, just like so. What I did was my last couple fights, I just been training at the crib, training at home, and look like. My boxing fights are like my lifestyle. I know people talk about getting away. You want to focus on the fight, and I think it's a lot of fighters that been with their wives, from Muhammad Ali, Jose Torres, speaking to Jose Torres personally, he told me he used to sleep with his wife before fights. You know, not that, but I would tell you altogether, it's about your responsibility and your focus. And I would tell any fighter who can't have the focus around their wife. And, my wife totally respect that. Boxing is number one when I'm trying to get ready for a fight. And, I'm not, I'm not going out doing nothing besides being here, training for the fights, getting where I got to go. And I think, we at that point right now where it's just like, I'm 37 years old. I'm not a kid. You know what I'm saying? So, if I step outside the crib, it's gotta be definitely worth it. And it's gotta be definitely worth me being away from my family such a long time. And um I think that's more important. I think every fighter has his own way, how he looks at his life and his perspective and how he need to get ready for a fight. And I tell you to do you. I think the best thing for you to do is make decision according to the fighter.
If there's three people that you can give credit to for where you at right now, who would that be?
I would say definitely Jesus Christ. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I would think even though they probably won't be the most, thing, but I gotta count my blessings for how they come. My mom motivate me, probably not in the most positive way. She motivated me definitely in the way that I was determined to be somebody great and do whatever I told her I was gonna do at the time when she was telling me I wasn't gonna never be nothing from getting in trouble with the police. So my mom, my brother, I got just too many people to name. I was to say everybody came in increments at different times and different stages of my life and played a purpose. So from Rafael Ramos to Jose Torres giving me advice to you know it's too many people to name. My brother told me you need to stop acting like you're a boxer and stop telling people you're a boxer if you don't train like one. That really snapped me into my stepmother who died. It was like my dad's mistress. She been in my life my whole life. My dad used to cheat on my mom with her, and I watched her take her last breath. Carrie Massenberg, my uncle Eric, who died when I was getting ready for Andy Lee. I
Yeah,
decided I was going to fight. He died of cancer.
yeah.
Went right when I was in LA about to start my camp. I couldn't make his funeral. You know, so many people to name. I just can say I never forget people, and I'm just thankful that a lot of people that I had in my life they influenced me for the better, and I still live by those words.
Okay. What about the wife? When you said that, when you said Jesus Christ, I thought number two would definitely be your wife. I mean, I
But let me,
guess, huh?
yeah, because now she didn't understand that order. So when I say God first,
Yeah.
I put because now I've been here with her for 10 years, and me and her relationship hasn't been like how you meet somebody in this. It was like I was wild, I was a wild boy, and I
Okay.
can tell you
Okay.
right now, bro, that people would have thought I would be divorced right now to this
Okay.
day. I'm the
Okay.
only one out of my brothers. I got 9 siblings.
Yeah.
I'm the only one and got my kid. I got all my kids by the same woman. I don't got kids out of wedlock. I
Yeah.
had all
Wonderful.
marriage. So what I would tell you that my wife helped me become the man that I am today. And without
Amen.
her, my relationship with Christ wouldn't even be a reflection in what I am with her. I'm trying to grow with her in a way where, how Christ said he's married to the church. I
Yes.
want to be wife the same way where we're one and we're like that. And then, we take on ideas together. We take on everything about my family. So yeah, I put her next to God, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to her,
Yeah.
I got too many different things
Yeah.
to give me that very moment now. She's like a person I've been growing with to the point where it's like, I'm just thankful to have her. Sometimes I didn't think I will be able to have respect for a woman like I got for her and what she taught me about respect for a woman because I never was giving women respect, brother. I was
Wow.
I was a dog and I was
Yeah.
like that's probably people think I wouldn't be married this long. So, my me being with her and like I said, we everything about it our relationship is different and very unique. She's Jewish, but she got baptized in the name of Jesus Christ. My kids never seen a Christmas tree in my house ever.
Wow. Man. That's good, man. Listen, you got a great story, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. I want to answer some of these questions. People say hi from London. Spider Moose said, "What up, K9 and Kid Chocolate?" Darius said, "What up, Kid Chocolate? Love you, bro."
I appreciate it, Darius. I see Eric Mays on here, my brother. See,
Yeah,
like guy like right here, Eric Mays. Let me
yeah,
tell you something. Like, we're like a guy I really respect, black man who's basically, changed his life for the better, and got a lot of stuff moving, and guys like that who inspire me to be where I'm at. And like sometimes I question myself, brother, that I talk raw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be able to have like guys like Eric Mays around me who basically inspire me to be better at all times, trying to gain knowledge, trying to gain wisdom, try to apply what I know. Some people can know a lot of stuff, but then they don't apply it. That means they just foolish. So for me, it's applying what I know to try to become a wise young man. I think that's more important than anything.
Yeah. Do you think that, I mean, this is going back to boxing. Do you think that the East Coast is actually better than the West Coast in boxing, or do we have better fighters that come from the East Coast?
I think East Coast fighters got a lot of swagger, but I can't never take away from what a West Coast boxer got, because there's so many greats that come out of it. Like, I mean, a lot of people from the East go to the West to train. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. Cause it's hot. It's hot.
But more importantly, I think it's not really about the East or the West. I think
Okay.
best fighters are always created out of the toughest struggles. So
Yes.
if you notice that, when the fighter struggles in their life, he always had a reason to be a great fighter. So, I think wherever the struggle is at is where a person might be at.
Right. So you actually fought, or you actually are from the same city Mayweather from. I mean,
Yes.
it ain't no pressure, on you, but is that like, are you really excited or happy? I mean, you're a Christian, so probably not. But when you became a world champion, and they said Mayweather from Grand Rapids, he's the only world champ from Grand Rapids, did you say, oh no, 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 I'm a world champion from Grand Rapids too?
Man, I was a world champion before I got to, I think a world champion is somebody that can inspire people from the bottom to the top. You know what I'm saying? So, disrespect to Floyd Mayweather. He came to my school one day and said you can do it, and I took it literally, and then that's what I went out there and did. So for me, it's like, I'm not here to get brownie points for nobody. I was here, when I actually got the chance to be able to beat somebody in life. That's when I felt like I won the battle. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was the championship. I come from nothing to have something.
Yeah.
That's championship. They take that having a champ mentality. So basically, the belt is nothing just but a reward to that. Here you go. Here go the belt. But you see Mike Tyson throwing his belt down, and he like it ain't worth nothing, because it don't do nothing to you when after you done with your career. You know what I'm saying? It's just something for show and collect dust.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, I appreciate you, man. From coming on the live with us. Anything you want to say to the fans? Any final words, and definitely give them your social media.
My social media at Kid Chocolate on Twitter, Kid Chocolate on Instagram. Listen, if you gonna follow me, listen, I may not even talk about boxing the way that people think. I think the worst thing I ever hear, especially when I'm talking about social issues, is that people say shut up and box. And I think that's the thing somebody can say to a guy who come from nothing. So for me, I'm just thankful that we get to see guys like UK9 who's stepping out there and creating a platform and creating a voice out there.
Yeah.
And I'm a big supporter of you, regardless being from Michigan.
Yes.
Always for me, it makes the best to be able to come from nothing and make something of yourself. So I'm always a big supporter of you, and I'm just thankful that you brought me on today. I hope anybody who was hearing this, I'm always gonna give y'all my heart, and I hope I just hope that y'all feel it.
Hey, man, one love, my brother. Appreciate you, man. Good night and happy holidays.
And to you too as well. Shout out Eric Mays. God bless you, my brother.
All right, brother. Peace.
Peace.